that data does for us is it makes the invisible visible. And that's actually incredibly important, because if we only look at what is there, we miss so much. In healthcare, the denominator is often invisible. We focus on the people who show up with the stroke, not on preventing the stroke before it occurs. Those people are invisible to us. Correlations are invisible until the data reveals them. And the challenge that we issued last year, I thought, was a marvelous actual example of turning the invisible visible. The air around us itself, making the air quality visible to us, and correlating that through the emerging field of real-time wearable sensors, continual monitoring, and being able to correlate that with our own physiology. The challenge was complex. It included the creation of prototypes, use in the field, future usability and extension. And to introduce the next step, let me introduce our colleagues, Peter Pruess from the EPA Office of Innovation. Peter.
Thank you. Well, as you've heard, this was a really interesting challenge for us. We are very concerned about air pollution at EPA. We are very concerned about the health effects of air pollution. And with the current systems that we have right now, we get fairly gross air data that is gross in a geographic sense. And we get so sometimes it's quite difficult for us to correlate air quality and human health, and we use fairly interesting but limited kinds of epidemiological studies. So that's what this challenge was meant to do. It also was meant to supply information to citizens, people who are interested in what's going on their body, and what they're exposed to and how their body is reacting. So in this challenge, we had 3 finalists. We had Guy Schechter from the Philips company, Guy and his team, who did a really nice job in working out the data handling for these kinds of sensors, because they obviously can produce an enormous amount of data if you're taking instantaneous readings. The second group, led by Michael Heimbinder, took a really nice particulate air monitor and combined it with an app that Michael had previously prepared, showing, mapping basically what was going on as he walked around or wherever he was. But our judges unanimously selected the winner, which is David Culler and his group. They have invented a wearable cloth that can do a number of very important things. It can, most importantly, give you a sense of your breathing rate and the volume that you're breathing in, so that one can relate it to the outside ambient air and get a measure of what people's exposure in their lungs really is. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce David Culler, the winner of this challenge.
So, hello, I'm not Tony Stark. We could argue all day long about the existence of global warming and whether the oceans are rising. We cannot argue about how breathing bad air is just plain bad for us, and how respiratory illnesses are on an exponential rise. Every one of us has a lot to learn about life's most fundamental act, breathing. We take it for granted, and we've been taking it for granted for hundreds of thousands of years. Now we finally have the tools necessary to take control of our breathing, our right to breathe, and our rights as creatures on this spaceship Earth to breathe and breathe healthily. We've integrated a wearable computer with StretchNet sensors, a particle sensor, and Bluetooth communications to monitor air quality, breath rate, and breath volumetrics, and heart reverberations. Easily recordable on any portable device, easily manufacturable with consumer pricing. The green light indicates my breathing in and out, so everybody see that? Okay. The blue light actually indicates air quality, and while I wanted to light a cigarette, it wasn't considered proper here. It should be flickering with the dust coming out of my Kleenex. We'll see later on the data feed. The red lights actually indicate body vibrations, and they're mostly tied to my heartbeat and the reverberations and subsonics related to the heartbeat. If we could go to the iPad feed. Okay. All right. Do we have that now? Okay, in the leftmost column, there's the number of seconds since I started this session. The next column? Yeah. Now there's maybe some issues with which network it's connected to. Just a moment. Well, this all worked. This is a demo effect. Sure. Anyway,
I assure you, there is
yeah.
a left column.
Yeah. It comes and goes. No, it was there. Oh, well, anyway, I'd gladly show any of you in person how this works, but we're keeping track of picograms per liter. We're keeping track of breath rate in terms of number of breaths per minute, and most importantly, the volume of each breath. And from that, we also calculate the number of picograms of particulates that you take in with each individual breath. We call it conscious clothing. Our knit sensors we call groove strips. It's basically this, it's a knitted silver, and it changes resistance as it stretches. The API underlying everything we call aware. So basically we have conscious clothing with awareness built in. This prototype is actually made up of off-the-shelf components. I couldn't really wear it much in the city. We were supposed to shoot the video in Boston the day after the bombs, but we had to go out to the country to do the shooting. This prototype, they're all off-the-shelf components, but we can easily integrate them into one tiny card. Anyone interested in being on our scientific advisory board, please contact us. Anyone who has specific applications in mind, please also let us know what your needs are, and we'll try to take them into consideration in the final designs of our first production run. A full-length video demo of the prototype is online. If you give us your business cards, we'll be glad to send you the link. Thank you all for this opportunity.